I am recording. Woo!
Me too.
But the first time. Oh, look! I show the chart. The charty. Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh my! Don't break your computer.
That's cool. I like it. Yeah. Oh, this is the one on the left. Your artwork, right?
This one. Yeah. Shut up. And I fall for it. God, that would have been awful. Like, I destroyed the most expensive things I own in one.
Well, you didn't. It's all fine. We're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we begin?
Yeah. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hello, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the universe. You are joining us on our 72nd episode, meaning we only have 48 to go until the big 120, which is exciting. And today we are doing a special extended review of one of the best shows to hit Netflix last year, Midnight Mass. So there will be spoilers galore when we get to that, so do be prepared. You can go and watch it if you haven't watched it, or you can listen to us talk about it, and it will still be worth watching it. Definitely. Even if you know what happens. But before that, we'll have all our usual Culture Catch-Up and MyTube, etc. And we will be led through all of that by me, your host, George, and my co-host, whose name is Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone. Hi. How are you, George, today?
Good, thank you. I am tired, and it feels oddly dark.
It does look oddly dark. Is it raining?
Yeah. I think it's raining. It's a bit brighter now.
Yeah. You opened the window. Were your curtains closed?
My curtains were closed, but it's normally not dark even when my curtains are closed. And now it's too bright. I'm going to just close those curtains again. There we go. That's better. So yeah.
Great.
How are you?
I am fantastic. Great. Never better. It's been raining for like 4 days straight here in Italy, and it's weird. I can't believe I managed to live 11 years in England because it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's just rain and rain and rain, and I'm just like, why is it gonna stop raining? But I remember living in England. I was like, oh, there's a day of sun.
Yeah, it'll stop eventually.
Yeah, but we don't. It's never usually like this, so it's a bit strange, I guess. Climate change.
Well, maybe. So, shall we make a start?
Definitely.
This is Culture Catch-Up time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture Catch-Up time.
I'm starting with the Culture Catch-Up this week. So I've got one movie to talk about that I've seen, and an album that I've been listening to a little bit and had an interesting experience with, and a TV show just to briefly discuss. So we'll start with the movie. I was very excited this week when I got an opportunity to go and see what in the UK is an advanced screening, but for like the rest of the world is a really late screening. Because it came out a couple of months ago everywhere else. The hit 2022 surprise hit film, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah.
Yeah. A science fiction, comedy, drama, every genre you can think of thing. Directed by Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who are known as Daniels, who are most well known in the past for directing the Lil Jon video Turn Down for What, and the exactly that's where that goes, and the Daniel Radcliffe is a farting corpse movie Swiss Army Man, which It's very good if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
It's very good.
A farting corpse.
Yeah, Paul Dano is a guy. He's trapped on an island, and he escapes by he finds a corpse which is played by Daniel Radcliffe, who talks to him, and he escapes by using it as a raft and propels it across the sea by making it fart. It's a pretty good film. I saw it when it came out in the cinema years ago, so I don't remember it too well, but those are my main recollections. And this is their second film, released by A24, so you always know that you're in for hopefully something interesting, at least when it's an A24 movie, and this is certainly interesting. It stars Michelle Yeoh,
Yeah.
the wonderful Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, Ki Hu Kwan, Jenny Slate, Harry Shum Jr., James Hong, legend of cinema James Hong, and Jamie Lee Curtis, who also is a legend of cinema.
I didn't know she was in it.
Yeah, she is in it. She's she's in it. And it follows mainly the Wang family, and primarily the matriarch of the Wang family, Evelyn, played by Michelle Yeoh, who is a laundromat owner, which in the UK would call a laundrette, I suppose. She's the owner of a laundrette in America. She's married to Waymond, played by Ki Hu Kwan, who was the sidekick in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and played Data in The Goonies. And has pretty much not appeared in anything since then.
Amazing.
Because he went off to be like a fight choreographer and stunt coordinator in Hong Kong cinema, I think, and stuff. And he's sort of finally returned to Hollywood movie making, I guess. And their daughter Joy, and James Hong plays Evelyn's father, who is visiting from their home country. And then Jamie Lee Curtis plays Deirdre Bobadra, Deirdre, who is a tax inspector.
Yeah.
And when the movie was announced initially, it was described as the plot was described as a woman tries to do her taxes, which is like a very funny way of underselling the movie. So the movie sort of opens by introducing you to Evelyn and her family, and then they collectively, although she has a big bust up with her daughter Joy, and then herself and her father and her husband go to the IRS department to go over their taxes with an auditor played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And in the elevator up to the IRS office, Waymond, her husband, suddenly undergoes some sort of odd transformation, and he seems to be a different person, and he warns her of potential danger incoming and gives her instructions on how to access a meeting with him in the storage closet while she is meeting with the tax inspector at the desk. And if that sounds a little bit confusing, that's only the start of where this movie goes. So then during her meeting with Jamie Lee Curtis, she reads these instructions and follows them and is able to access another universe where she's made a decision to, instead of going to the meeting, she goes into this cupboard, and the alternate version of her husband, Waymond, informs her that there is a great evil attempting to destroy all of the multiple universes, all of the infinite multiverses in existence, and only she, as a version of Evelyn, can stop it, as the version of Evelyn from another universe was the one that originally discovered how to swap between universes, so she can access them in a way that other people can't. So she needs to learn how to travel between the universes, how to absorb the skills and talents of her various other selves throughout all the universes, and defeat the great evil known as Jobu Tabaki. And that is the film.
Sounds amazing.
Broadly. It is filled with, like, any 1 minute section of this movie is like filled with more kind of imaginative set design and writing and script and just everything sort of than most other like blockbuster movies manage in like a full 2 hours. Like, it's one of the most, and you can tell like these directors came from music videos, because they use like the language of music videos so well to like move between these different universes and on a tiny budget make it feel like an enormous, expansive, like infinite dimension world that they build, which is so fantastic. And it goes to like all sorts of different areas and places, and at one point they go into a universe where everyone has hot dogs for fingers. And and there's a universe where everyone's just rocks, and there's all kinds of, I won't just spoil everything, but there is a lot going on in the movie, and it's pretty incredible. It's sort of, I think because it's sort of come out of nowhere to be hailed as one of the greatest films ever made. And like on letterboxd.com, for example, it briefly reached the top spot in the like official list of top movies on Letterboxd, overtaking Parasite and Come and See, a film that we talked about briefly in our last episode. And I think it's dropped down now to like number 3, but it still places it above films like The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, and everything else that kind of often gets put at the top of these lists. And I think it belongs there in that company, because it is kind of incredible how a film that is filled with so many potentially confusing ideas ends up being not only like exceptionally entertaining, but also quite easy to follow. And I think the reason it's quite easy to follow is because it all hinges ultimately on the relationship between Evelyn and her daughter Joy. Like that ends up being the kind of overriding thing that follows the entire movie through from the start to the end. And like that gives everyone who watches it a way into the movie, I think, because that's such a universally understood idea, is a troubled relationship between a parent and their child. And like having that be the anchor of the film was such a clever move on the part of Daniels, because then around all of that they were able to build the rest of their kind of completely mad, insane world and just have it all work perfectly. It's amazing. It's a really, really, really incredible movie. And I think, as well as being really well made, all the actors in it deserve accolades for how well they're able to kind of like portray all these various different versions of themselves throughout all the various different universes the movie visits. In particular, Michelle Yeoh, who is wonderful, and I've been a fan of her work for a long time, ever since seeing Tomorrow Never Dies when I was a child, and this is a great kind of outlet for her skills and abilities, and it's just good. And seeing and I'm really sorry if I get his name wrong, but Ki Hoi Kwan as her husband, like seeing him back in a movie again after him being such a kind of iconic part of 80s cinema is great. And he doesn't feel like a man who hasn't acted in a film in as long as he has. Like he feels like he puts in an amazing performance, again portraying these various different versions of Waymond. And I've read sort of trivia and interviews about the movie where he talks about how he had an acting coach that kind of came up with different animals to assign to the different versions of Waymond that he plays. So one of them he plays like an eagle, and one of them he plays like a fox. And it really works because like you can really kind of differentiate between the different versions of him, which is great. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is good. Yeah, it's fantastic. Everyone should watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is one of those movies that I think is going to be talked about for a long, long, long time to come. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
I'm definitely looking forward to watching it.
You should be. God, it's so... Like I could, we would talk much longer about this movie because it is crazy. Like how, and especially as like, it's sort of ended up coming out right around the same time as another much bigger movie that deals with multiverses and stuff, which I'll talk about next week. But for it to kind of, it seems like it's hit at just the right time. It's like fortuitous that sort of, I think everyone's thinking about multiverses a bit at the moment, and
just to escape our our current universe.
Yeah, wouldn't it be lovely if there was another universe where everything wasn't horrible?
Yes,
that's a nice thing to imagine.
That would be wonderful.
But yeah, no, Everything Everywhere All at Once, 5 out of 5, amazing film. Go and see it. Other than that, I also went to the cinema, excitingly, to listen to the new album from the band Rammstein.
Oh,
yeah, who put
they're
out
still
their...
alive.
They are still alive, yes. They put out their latest studio album called Zeit, or Zeit, which means time or era.
Okay.
And it is their 8th studio album. And to celebrate the release of it, they did for one night only in IMAXs and super screens a presentation of the album on Atmos speakers, so high quality speakers.
Wow.
So with my Cineworld cinema pass, I was able to go along. So I went to my local Cineworld and went to their super screen to check it out, and it was a bizarre experience to go to the cinema to hear an album. But
Yeah.
I've never heard like this was one night only, so people can't go out and do this. But if you ever see an opportunity to go and like have an album listening thing at a cinema, I would massively recommend it, because it was very like I heard the album in a way that I haven't heard it again since listening to it on normal speakers. Like, it was a pretty cool experience. And they put up all the singles that have music videos. They showed the music videos on the screens, and like Rammstein make pretty high budget extravagant music videos, so seeing those on a big cinema screen was exciting. And then for the other songs that don't have music videos, some of them they had like Windows Media Player visualizer looking animations and stuff that were going on, which was really bizarre, but I guess they felt like they had to have something on the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, the album itself is sort of, they came back in 2019 with an Untitled album that was really hailed, and I really liked that album. This one for me is probably slightly lower than that. It doesn't have quite as many memorable songs, and the highs on it aren't quite as high as the highs on the Untitled album. And it's got one song with a music video that I think is really gross and makes me feel ill when I watch it, so I don't listen to it too much. But other than that, it's, if you like that kind of loud, aggressive German music, then you'll enjoy it. If you don't, then it's probably not for you. And that's about all there is to say about Zeit. And other than that, the latest series of Inside Number 9 has started in the UK, and if you have never watched Inside Number 9, you should go to wherever it is available in your country. It's on the iPlayer in the UK, and watch it, because it's amazing. And the first 2 episodes of the 7th series have both been pretty great. In particular, the 2nd episode, I can't say why because it spoils it, but was of particular interest to me and the things I enjoy. So
Nice.
pretty good. It was called Mr. King, and it followed a new teacher in a small Welsh primary school trying to live up to the high standards set by his predecessor, Mr. King. And then it takes various dark turns from there. But yeah, it was good.
Nice.
People should watch it. And that's all I've done this week, really. Mainly Everything Everywhere All at Once. Watch it.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you?
This week I'll just talk about a film and a book.
Cool.
I watched a film that you recommended and you watched a while ago.
Yes.
Called Nobody.
Oh, that's a film.
Yeah. So Nobody is a film with Bob Odenkirk. And I also watched it because the new series of Better Call Saul is coming out. So I'm like getting a little bit of Bob before the last season of Better Call Saul comes out. And so I was like, I'll just watch something before Saul. I'm not ready to watch the last season of Better Call Saul, so I'm waiting a little bit.
Pretty good.
Are you watching it?
Yeah.
I am not. I am not prepared to say goodbye, and I'm not prepared to be angst.
There's been 3 episodes so far, and all 3 episodes have been 10 out of 10s. Like, they're really sort of going all in on this last series.
Yeah, that series is incredible, but I'm waiting. I'm not I'm not ready. And is about this apparently very boring and mundane family man played by Bob Odenkirk, in where there is a home invasion, and that home invasion where he decides not to do anything to the people that are invading his home, but that home invasion triggers something in him that then you realize that this man is not really that calm and boring and ordinary, and it's it's a very exciting film. Like,
yeah?
when you were talking about it, I was like, it's going to be good. But I didn't realize how similar to John Wick it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, it's very similar to John Wick.
And
Very.
how believable Bob Odenkirk is as a very dangerous man.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
Yeah, and it's just so ridiculous that is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's only an hour and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just perfect because he just the build there's like a slow kind of build up, and then the action just all comes all at once until the end. Is just like this, just crazy stuff happening, and it's just him and people that he knows. I'm not gonna spoil. Make a mess out of everything. I didn't realize. Well, this film was inspired by Bob Odenkirk, who had a couple of home invasions.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
he
didn't
felt a
know.
little bit, and he locked the people in his basement or something. It's just a brilliant movie. And if you haven't watched it, watch it because it's so funny, really well made. No, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Nobody. Yeah, and so that was really good recommendation, George. I thought that was amazing.
Good.
And then I read a book by newish, not new, but she's been in the scene for quite a while in Japan, but newish as a writer. A film. I read a book by Mieko Kawakami called Breasts and Eggs, and is the story of three women: Natsu, her older sister Makiko, and Makiko's daughter Midoriko. And the book is kind of divided in two, and the two side the one is they're 10 years apart, and in the first part, you kind of the book kind of sets up the scenes, and she explores the relationship between Natsu and her older sister and her niece. And Natsu does not live in her birth town Osaka, and she lives in Tokyo. And her sister Makiko goes and visits her because she wants to change something in her body. And then 10 years later, Makiko is having problems with her daughter Midoriko. And it kind of explores the relationships and how they lived when they were in Osaka. They don't come from a very rich family, and the sister works in a hostess club, which in Japan they're very popular, where men will go to these clubs and they will spend the evening chatting with these hostesses. And it doesn't pay very well, and depending on in which kind of hostess club you are in, you can get paid as much or as little. And then Natsu, the main character, wants to pursue a career as a writer, and then it goes 10 years later, where she's thinking about having children, and she's got various women around her, from her publicist to other writers, and the second part of the book, she's trying to figure out how she can have a child without having a man, which is interesting because I never knew this, and I'm not sure if it's international or just a thing of Japan. Like, a single woman cannot go to a clinic, cannot get pregnant with artificial insemination, which I think is crazy. Is as a woman, why do I need a partner, especially a male partner? And so that I thought that was interesting. And the second part, a bit like the first part, but she kind of like, there's a lot of conversations between women, and conversations that it's kind of like it's a fiction book, but it feels like interviews, which is really interesting because in the book not much happens, nothing happens really, but there's a lot of conversations between women talking about the state of being a woman in Tokyo, Japan, and Japan in general. and it's a really good book because I think the state of woman in the world is constantly changing and devolving, evolving. I don't know. It's crazy what's happening now, especially with like what's happening in the United States with, abortion laws, and which are insane. And the state of woman in Japan is evolving, I hope. So it's interesting to kind of find out in a place that I lived for so long how different, although I could see the differences, it's interesting to find out from also a book. And I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good book, and very easy to read. And what I like, kind of nothing exciting, just reading. And I really liked it. Breast and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami.
Mieko Kawakami. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds very good.
Yes, and that's it for my Culture Catch-Up this week.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good choices. Thank you very much for sharing them. Right, before you go into MyTube, we've got a new segment, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking
wow.
news.
Breaking news.
News. So, you'll be very excited by this, Alex. Breaking now in the last hour, as we've been recording our podcast, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, have officially announced, get ready, you ready? They've officially announced who is going to be the new Doctor Who.
I was thinking James Bond. I was like, what? Why is
Nope,
the BBC announcing
nothing to do with the BBC.
The new Doctor Who. Should I guess it?
Yes, go on, guess.
Man or woman?
Man.
Man. Do I know him?
Yes.
Is he young or old?
Young.
Has he recently been in a film?
No.
Has he recently been in a TV show?
Yes.
In the UK?
Oh. Yes.
What's the name of the TV show?
Well, that's going to give you a big old...
Well, exactly, but I need to guess at some point.
Sex Education.
Okay, is he one of the main characters? Well, they're all main characters. It's not Asa Butterfield.
No.
It's it's a favorite. The tall guy that goes out with Eric.
No.
Eric?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Yes.
What's his name?
Nkuti Gatwa.
Eh?
Nkuti Gatwa.
Nkuti Gatwa. How exciting!
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I hope he's still going to be in. I hope he's still going to be in Sex Education. He better be.
People normally manage to be in more than one thing. I think he'll be fine.
How exciting! Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I don't watch Doctor Who, but it's good for him.
No, me neither, but it's good for him.
He's brilliant in Sex Education.
And I think I would watch him because he's in Doctor Who. I would watch Doctor Who because he's in it.
I'd check out Doctor Who. I'll check out the first episode to see how he is. Yeah, it's cool. He's only 29, isn't he? He's the new Doctor.
Wow. I thought Doctor Who was finished anyway. Was it not dead?
Oh, God, no. I think it's still one of the biggest things that the BBC does at the moment, so I think they're going to...
Is it?
Yeah. They're bringing back Russell T Davies as the new showrunner. He revived it in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston and did the David Tennant stuff, and then left in 2009. And then they've had a variety of other showrunners, but now Russell T Davies is coming back, so people think that that's reason to be excited. Even though by the time he left, everyone thought he was awful. So Doctor Who fans are fickle, I'll say.
Fans are fickle anyway, come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Fans in general are just fickle.
Fans are fickle. But there you go. So, Nkuti Gatwa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. But He is great, and I'm excited for that. Lovely stuff. Okay, shall we have a bit of a MyTube?
Yeah.
So I think we've seen the things already in the MyTube, but they're things that are worth discussing. So
Yeah.
let's have a little look at the videos. And
Oh, I just opened Facebook. Doctor Who in Kuti Gatwa to replace Jodie Whittaker, BBC announces. Wow, he's so beautiful. He's so gorgeous. I love him.
big news, isn't it?
So the first trailer that George has sent me is another Apple TV Plus trailer, the Essex Serpent. I have watched this trailer before, but I will watch it with George and we can both discuss it again.
Yeah, we can. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh.
So, very misty English countryside it appears to be.
Yes. Loki's there.
Loki, yeah.
What's his name? Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. It looks very much like The Woman in Black or some other sort of gothic English
Yes.
horror thing, folk horror stuff, which is all the stuff I like. Claire Danes is here now.
Claire Danes, who's playing another, again, she's playing an English person.
Yep.
Oh, Tom Hiddleston and Claire Danes have a little bit of chemistry.
A little bit of a frisson between them.
Yeah.
Is that blasphemy?
We won't get my husband to judge you, no matter how.
Oh, who is that actress? The wife.
Sure. I don't know the wife, but the other actress with the black hair is Hayley Squires, who has been in some really good stuff recently, like In the Earth.
Okay. So something is happening. There's a serpent, and I think he's possessing everybody.
Or driving everyone to some sort of fervour of some kind.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in love with her.
Everybody's in love with Claire Danes.
Of course.
Scared them. You didn't start all this. We can't control our inner thoughts, but they
And Tom Hiddleston is falling in love with her as well.
Yes.
Woman that was tempted by the serpent, it was woman that ate the fruit.
So it's a very religious town.
Yeah.
I'm their pastor. So you can't be
And they think that her arrival in town has welcomed the arrival of a monstrous serpent of some kind.
Yes.
But is there going to be a serpent?
I don't know.
Or
And
is
she
it
has
all a
got
metaphor?
red hair.
She does.
Red hair. You know, if you come from Italy, you know what that means.
there's a doubt and fear.
Yeah.
Now is the time for us to come together. Don't be scared.
I'll explain later.
Okay.
That the source of light is closest.
The Essex Serpent. It was really bad in Italy actually until like not very long ago. That if you had red hair, you were like considered demonic.
Oh, I see.
And kind of there was like certain things like red hair and writing with your left being left-handed as well.
Yeah, that's the same. That was the same in the UK. What do you think of the Essex Serpent?
So maybe good, or maybe shit. I don't know.
Does it look scary? Do you think it looks scary?
No.
But it's about a giant snake.
Yeah, but you know,
What happens when the
Loch Ness
snake
Monster.
turns up and starts eating people?
I don't think it will,
Uh,
because then it will be like Tremors. And
why would it be called? I think it is going to be like Tremors. It's like a Victorian Tremors. That's what I took away from that trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it might be good. Not really. Like, it looks good, but I'm not. Are you interested in watching it?
Yeah, definitely. I like, Gothic literature, Gothic fiction, stuff like that. So I haven't read the book it's based on him, but it looks like my cup of tea. I just hope that there's a guy in a big rubber snake suit at some point to make it all worthwhile. But other than that, yeah, I think it looks like a fun time.
Amazing.
Yeah. We got time for one more?
Yeah.
Okay, another one that I think you've seen, but worth watching because and talking about because it looks pretty cool.
So the next one is a trailer that I have seen. Also, Don't Worry, Darling. The new film, or is the only film
What do you mean the only film?
by Olivia Wilde?
No, she did Booksmart, which you've seen.
Yeah, Booksmart. So it's the second film by Olivia Wilde.
Yeah.
Which, poor woman. Did you see what happened?
Yeah, that was horrible when she was presenting it at CinemaCon and somebody gave her legal papers, custody papers.
How is that? I never understood that about. Does it happen in England as well that you have?
Don't think that happens to getting served papers in that way.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, she got served papers.
Yeah.
Like, what an inappropriate moment to do it.
Yeah, and then Jason Sudeikis had to put out a statement being like, I did not know that they were going to, like, that was not within my sort of control.
Yeah, but like, come on, Jason Sudeikis, you should be more intelligent than serving paper to your wife, ex-wife or ex-partner, whatever she is.
No, because I think the papers would have to be served at some point. Like, it's not his choice where it happens. He would have his lawyers would have been dealing with it.
For custody of their children?
Yeah.
That's a shitty thing to do anyway, isn't it? Are you not supposed to, like, parent together?
Well, is he asking for full custody of the children? Isn't it just to have a legal discussion about it? I didn't know that he was trying to take the children permanently.
I have no idea, but that's what I thought. Like, I assumed that if you both go to court and say, well, we've decided that we're going to co-parent, I'm pretty sure you don't have to serve any paper to anyone, especially like that. Because that's like the cheeky way of serving papers, isn't it? It's like, oh, yeah, take this. And
yeah, but again, I mean, we don't know the full extent of the story, do we? Maybe she's not allowing him to see them. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows? It's not ours to...
No, I just thought it was weird.
It was a pretty crappy way of doing it, however, whatever the reason behind it was.
But yeah, in this new film, there is Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, and then I think that's all I remember.
Olivia Wilde. And more. Let's watch and see.
Yeah,
you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Music is playing. People are smoking. And they're happy.
Yes. There's a car driving in a big circle.
Yeah.
Doing a big kiss.
Florence Pugh and Harry Styles are in love.
Ah, of course they are.
And it looks like a nice community of people.
Yeah, nothing's going to go wrong here.
No.
Slightly sinister piano, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be
and
fine.
everybody's saying goodbye to their husband at the same time.
Yep, they're all driving off.
We ask for strength,
Yeah.
food at home, a house
Like their
clean,
life seems perfect.
and discretion
Yeah.
above all else.
But there's an earthquake.
Boys and their toys. At least we know they're getting work done.
And the wives do not work.
Welcome to the Victory Project. We're all
No.
here.
Oh, I love her. What's her name? Gemma Chan.
Changing the world.
Yes.
Changing the world.
That's right.
What do you think they're really doing out there?
And it's becoming a little more sinister.
What do you mean?
Everybody was happy at the beginning. And now...
The one thing they ask of us is to stay here.
everybody has to stay in the same place.
Safe.
Where it's safe.
Do you even know what the Victory Project actually is? Have you ever asked?
Oh, Chris Pine, hello.
Hi, Chris Pine.
What's actually happening?
Stop it, Alice.
What if this place is dangerous? What if...
No. Jack, it's okay. I'm curious to hear where she's going with this.
So not everything is as it seems.
No, some very cool shots here.
Yeah.
I need you to
I
listen
think
to
it
me.
looks like Olivia Wilde's really stepping up, like from the last movie to this one in terms of like ambition
Yeah,
and
definitely.
scope. Oh, hello.
Oh,
We're pushing forward.
is that the Tavantes?
Everyone is acting like I'm crazy.
Maybe. I don't know.
And I'm not crazy.
So it feels like you can't really go against this project of theirs.
But it's not giving much away, is it?
No.
But it looks sinister and weird.
Yeah.
All the things that I like.
I want to be here anymore.
And Florence Pugh is just incredible.
Yes,
Don't worry,
of course.
darling.
Yeah, looks. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think?
Yeah, it looks amazing. Looks exciting. That I think is definitely going to be a little bit sinister and scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you want.
Is this a second film?
Olivia Wilde, I think so. Yeah, I think it's just this and Booksmart so far. Yeah, she seems amazing, talented lady.
Ooh, there's a trailer coming straight after Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Oh,
Wow.
have you not seen the trailer for that?
No.
Well, I've seen it. It looks. It's maybe we can do.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Have you got the? Do you want to send me the link to that trailer?
Yeah.
So Buzz
'Cause
Luhrmann's.
I do love a little bit of Baz Luhrmann.
I mean, I like Baz Luhrmann. I just don't like Elvis Presley.
I like them both.
It's
We can get on together.
terrible.
We're suspicious lies. Suspicious lies. Yes.
The guy playing Elvis in this, Austin Butler, is doing quite the voice. So see what you think.
Nice.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, and Tom Hanks looks like a golem or something. Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
What? Is that Tom Hanks's voice?
Yep.
Okay.
He's playing his manager, I think. I think the film is sort of told from the perspective of the manager. I can't remember his name.
So is the origin of Elvis Presley.
Well, I think it goes through his whole life.
Oh. Oh. And he's famous.
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero.
Oh, look, his hips shake. Wow. No woman had ever seen those hips shake.
He was my destiny. I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley.
Why is
Are you ready to fly?
I'm ready. Ready to fly.
why is Tom Hanks looking like a?
I think that's what the real guy looked like, so I
Really?
think so.
I can't move, I can't sing. Some people want to put me in jail the way I was moving. They might put me in jail for walking across the street.
It's amazing how like certain things that don't really affect us in a time, they affected people. Like the way he moved, his hair. You know, like we could look at it and it's like, what? But at the time it was quite revolutionary what this white guy did.
I suppose it was.
It's different times now, George, but it was pretty, like, it's when the Beatles came out and they had, like, long hair.
No,
And they're like, oh my...
there is
Yeah.
some talented musicians.
Shut up. You shut up. You can't say that he wasn't talented. I like him, and I think he was amazing. He went down the wrong road, but...
I just hate the tackiness of it all.
I need to get back to who I really am.
The big pink Cadillacs.
Wait, that was
and all
towards
that
the
stuff.
end, though.
And who are you, Oz?
Sure.
I just gotta be making the most of this thing while I can. This can all be over in a flash.
And poor guy, like, I think he suffered quite a bit towards the end.
Yeah, on the toilet.
You're not the same. You two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity.
I don't like Tom
Two
Hanks's
odd, lonely
accent.
children.
Well, I like all of the children.
A couple of lonely
I
children.
took the children. I don't know. I think I do enjoy. I do like a little bit of Elvis Presley in my life, so I might enjoy it. But I don't enjoy this kind of accent that Tom Hanks is doing. I don't understand. Where is he from?
Well, probably if you look up the guy, he probably sounds fairly similar to the guy. I don't know the guy. Captain whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a well-made Baz Luhrmann movie. I just don't care about Elvis. But I'm sure it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into the meat of today's episode. Midnight Mass.
The tofu.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Midnight Mass being a limited series that premiered on Netflix. Premiered on Netflix. Premiered on Netflix in September of 2021. 7 episodes long. Created and written by the great Mike Flanagan, who has previously done films such as Hush, Gerald's Game, Doctor Sleep, and TV shows such as The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor. I'm a big fan of Mike Flanagan and his work, so I was very pumped and excited to watch this when it came out, and absolutely adored it, which I think I've spoken about before in the past in particular. Enjoying Hamish Linklater's performance as Father Paul. How about you? Do you have any prior with Mike Flanagan, Alex?
No.
Not at
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, this was my first experience of Mike Flanagan.
And why did you watch it?
Because you wanted one of your favorite performances of last year was of one of the actors in this series, which his name is Hamish Linklater. Hamish Linklater, and he plays Father Paul, one of the main people in this place.
In this place, indeed.
In this series.
What were your sort of expectations going in?
I had no expectations, actually. 0.
Oh, really?
I hadn't watched... Well, because it clearly looks like a maybe horror thriller. I didn't even watch the trailer because I knew I wasn't going to watch it. And so when you imposed the watching onto I watched it without anything. It was going to be something about a church because it's called Midnight Mass. I knew it was going to be scary because it's called Midnight Mass, and you know the church on the poster does not look like an inviting "come and worship the Lord with us." It looks more like
yes.
That's what it looks like.
So
sorry.
No, it's fine. You're absolutely right. And also Midnight Mass, that's sinister, isn't it? Why are they going at midnight? Why can't they have like midday mass? What's wrong with the daytime?
I guess so. But then mass at Christmas is at midnight.
Yeah, but not every day.
No.
So my experience watching this was, like I said, really, really excited to see it. Sat down and watched it not long after it premiered, and sort of started off very, very slow, and took a little, 2 or 3 episodes to really pull me in. But then by the end, I was like the last. I think the ending. We'll talk about it in more detail, but the end of episode 5 and then episode 6 and 7 are pretty phenomenal TV, and I absolutely loved it. What did you think of it as you went through it?
I've, like I said, a repeated amount of times. It does start slowly, and I had my suspicions from the beginning of certain characters already, especially the mother of the doctor, because I was like, she does not look like an old lady. And so I found certain things kind of suspicious, but I enjoyed that because I wanted to know why because I knew that he's not. I assumed that he was not. Is not Mike Flanagan's first rodeo, and I was like, there has to be something going on with these characters that have real strange prosthetics. So I don't know if that was done, especially the mother of the Doctor. I think that was the kind of the one that was like, there's too much. But then towards the end, it was crazy. Episode 6 was pretty intense when they lock everybody in the church. I did not expect that. When that happened, I was like, what? No, no, this is not happening. And so I was like, I thought that was really exciting because I didn't think that the evil will spread so much like that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, we'll get there and talk about that in more detail. But overall, positive on it.
Yeah. It's a great series. It's really, really good and exciting, and everybody's kind of a protagonist in this, which is good. Everybody's got like some time to. Yeah,
it's interesting because I mean the basic setup of the show, like the premise is that Riley Flynn, who's a young man who the entire series opens on him at the scene of a drink driving accident that he has caused, and a young girl is dying on the side of the road. And he is at fault. It's his fault. He's an alcoholic. He's had this accident. He spends 4 years in prison for causing this death, and then the show opens properly with him returning to his home on Crockett Island, which is a small island fishing community off the coast of America. Which all you really need to know about Crockett Island is it's tiny. There's a very small population that live on the island. They survive entirely off the fishing industry.
Yeah.
However, they have had recent hardships due to an oil company buying out, like giving them a load of money because there's been a big accident which has caused havoc to the ecosystem caused by this oil company. But instead of taking the oil company to court, the island kind of accepted a big payout. Which was then they were convinced to then funnel into the local church by a lady who works at the church, who we'll talk about more as we go through it. So that's sort of the basic setup, is that like you kind of initially think, oh, here's the main character and everyone else is supporting him. But like you said, as you go through the series, that's totally not the case at all. And he's just our initial entry point into the world of Crockett Island. But like if there is a main character by the end, I'd say it's actually Erin, Kate Siegel's character.
Yeah.
But again, she's not the primary character. Or Father Paul.
Or Father Paul.
Or Monsignor Pruitt, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Before we talk in any more details, just the big thing about this show that got a lot of attention kind of in terms of the internet's discussion of it and Twitter's discussion of it and stuff were the number of monologues. What did you think of the monologues?
It's pretty... it's good that he's a good writer because it does go on and on and on, but they make sense. And one monologue made me a little bit just put me on edge a little bit. In one episode, it was a little bit too close to heart when they talk about dying.
Well, I was going to bring that up because that's my brother.
And I was lying down on the bed watching it. And then he starts, and I felt really uneasy, like a really weird, oh God, let me just try and refocus myself, because I thought that it must have been pretty hard to also like deliver that monologue.
Yeah.
And it was hard to listen to it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting, like, my brother messaged me about that particular scene, and he made a good point in terms of, like, and I had a similar feeling where, I think it's episode 4 maybe, and it's these two characters and they sit down, and one of them starts saying, this is what I think happens when we die, and then talks for what feels like 10 minutes
Yeah.
about, and what must be close to 10 minutes about, their exact idea of what happens after somebody dies. And you kind of, by the end of that, you're like, that was quite draining. And then the character turns to the other character and says, so that's what I think happens when you die. What do you think happens when you die? And you're like, no, they're not, no. And then they do the other character is that, well, this is what I think happens. And then that's 10 more minutes of like two big hefty monologues about the afterlife on top of each other. Is I think the point where people, I think if Netflix are able to analyze the points where people turn off, that might be one of the points where some people lose themselves in the show, because that was quite a lot to get through.
Yeah, but I think with all the things that we have watched, I've never had such a visceral feeling about a moment like in this monologue.
Yeah.
Like when he says it, I was like, just I can't handle this.
Yeah. Well, because her take is very much rooted in religion,
like religious,
isn't it? And his
her
take is very much sort of rooted in existentialism and
reality. Depending on what you believe in, but and so there's a lot of monologues, and they're interesting, and I think they're good.
Yeah, pretty much every major character gets at least one, pretty much, right?
Yeah, and what I like about Mike Flanagan, because you could go into this thinking that Mike Flanagan hates religion, and Mike Flanagan does not hate religion. Mike Flanagan actually loves spirituality. He hates bigots, and I just love about this, because it's just I felt like you need something like this, because it's nothing against religion, it's nothing against spirituality, because there's like a Muslim character that is really, he explains Islam in an incredible way. But what Mike Flanagan does is just punish the bigots. And I love that, because you can't, you have to enjoy it. He made something called Midnight Mass, where there's a lot of like bad things against religion, without making it against religion, but making it against people thinking they're better because they are religious. And I just really, really, I think he's a very clever human in that sense.
I agree. I agree. It's pretty good stuff. Right, let's have a chat about, let's just talk through the main characters, and then we can go through some of the episodes and talk about our favourite moments or bits that we thought were interesting. So as we've mentioned repeatedly already, Hamish Linklater as Father Paul is probably the biggest face on the poster. Broadly is the main character of the show, and this is one of the things I love about the show, is that, like, is he a hero? Is he a villain? Who can say? But in terms of the initial setup, he is the new priest who has arrived on the island to be the priest for St. Patrick's Church, to replace the ageing Monsignor Pruitt, who is still away on pilgrimage. That is the setup for the character, but certainly is not all that we learn about him as the series goes on. Then we've got Kate Siegel, who is in fact married to Mike Flanagan and appears in most of his productions, and he is incredibly lucky to be able to say that, because she's great in everything that she's done for him, and she's great in this as Erin Green, the childhood sweetheart of another main character, Riley, who is teacher at the local school, and school is a very generous term for what seems to be a room.
There are not many kids on that island.
No. But there will soon be one more kid, because Erin is expecting a child. Then Zach Gilford plays Riley Flynn. Let's spend a slightly longer on it. What did you think of Erin as a character?
She grew on me throughout the thing, because at the beginning I thought it was an interesting character, because she changes a lot throughout the series. So at the beginning, she's just come back to the island because she escaped the island once, but circumstances made her come back to the island. And she just seems like this teacher that is pregnant and she just wants to live a normal life, and by the end she's the one that kind of manages to help
Yeah.
move the help the island, or the two people that she wants to help to escape the island. So yeah.
There's an interesting parallel between her and Riley, who is the man who's caused the death and is returning to the island after spending time in prison, where they talk a lot about how when Erin was a teenager, she was a sort of rebellious tearaway, difficult child, but has now grown up into being, a very religious, teacher, responsible adult on the island. Whereas Riley's almost the opposite, was a choir boy when he was a teenager, very, very religious, followed along with everything, and then has sort of fallen away as an adult and comes back to the island in some degree of disgrace, having killed this person, and is a sort of a known alcoholic, etc. And the way that we are set up to assume that Riley is the main character, and then as the show kind of progresses and due to events, particularly in episode 5, Erin ends up being pushed into the spotlight in terms of like when you're talking about how he doesn't hate religion, he hates bigots.
Yeah.
Erin ends up almost being the symbol of the positive side of religion.
Yeah.
And ends up having to be in direct opposition to Bev Keane, played by Samantha Sloyan, who, if there is an antagonist, this is a central villain in this show.
She is the villain.
She
is definitely the villain. From the moment you see her to the moment she disappears in the last episode, she is awful.
Yeah, she is absolutely horrible.
You just wanted to tell her to shut up and go in the water and never come back.
Yeah, she murders a dog at one point, and you think that she can't get any more unlikable, and then she still continues to be find new depths of horrible behaviour to sink to. All in the name of God and being a good Christian, which makes it all the more sort of skin-crawlingly awful.
I want to ask you something. Do you think she tried to murder the priest as well? Or is it just my imagination going wild?
Well, she does ultimately turn on him in the end, or do you mean earlier on?
So until a certain point, the priest can still go out in the light. But then at some point, the priest cannot go out in the light anymore. After he had this attack where he's getting... I thought she poisoned him and she killed him, and that's why then after, and then he resuscitated, and that's why he couldn't go in the light after. Because there's a scene where she has this poison in her hand and she puts it away, and I like, she poisoned the priest. But then nothing comes up after.
I don't think so, but I can't.
Mike Flanagan, we need his number.
Let's talk about that in more detail when we get to episodes.
Yeah, I'll tell you when exactly happens, and I'm pretty sure because. Can we email him?
Yeah, we'll email him.
Dear Mike.
I'm sure the answer's online. So other important characters to talk about briefly. Rahul Kohli plays Sheriff Hassan, who you mentioned
one of my
briefly
favourites.
before. He's great. Like that actor, I've not really seen him
He's
much
so
else,
good.
but he's amazing. Really, really like him.
Yeah.
His entire costume was inspired by the main character in The Last of Us Part 2. And The Last of Us, Joel Miller, because Mike Flanagan and Rahul Kohli are such big fans of Joel and The Last of Us games that they took inspiration for his dress from that game, which is a little touch that I really like. And he's the sheriff of the island, and he's a practicing Muslim, and that's a big source of confrontation and conflict within the show, particularly between him and Bev, who we talked about, who's amongst all her sins, she's definitely a racist and an Islamophobe and everything else you could call her. She's horrible. Sheriff Hassan. There's a character called Lisa Scarborough who is in a wheelchair due to an injury that we'll learn more about later. Annabeth Gish plays Dr. Sarah Gunning, the town's local doctor. I loved this character and this actor. I'm a big fan of the Doctor. What did you think of Sarah Gunning?
Yeah, really like her, and I figured out her relationship to the priest at the fun fair, at the Easter fair or something, when he just looks at her
Well done.
And I was like, oh my God, because of the relationship he has with his mother.
Yeah. There's a great episode where she is doing some real detective work and working out like what's actually going on the island and drawing some conclusions, and just watching her go through that like investigative process is really entertaining. Big fan. Alex Esso plays Mildred Gunning, her mother, her aging mother, who, as we've discussed, is in quite a lot of prosthetics in the beginning. Due to Alex Esso being like 20 years younger than Annabeth Gish, who's playing her daughter. Who else is there who's a big character? There's various relatives, like Sheriff Hassan has a son. Riley Flynn has like a sibling, and some his parents are involved. Henry Thomas, who was Elliot in E.T., plays Riley's father, because of the fact that Henry Thomas is now in all of Mike Flanagan's stuff, which is interesting. But yeah, those are sort of the main characters. Like it's primarily Riley Flynn. On the good side, you've got Riley, Erin, and the Doctor. And on the bad side, you've got Bev Keane, and he's not really a big character, but Sturge, the local handyman, ends up being Bev's sort of go-to. And then in the middle of them, never quite sure what side he's on until the end, is Father Paul. So what I'll do is I'll read through the plot synopsis of the different episodes, and we can have a quick discussion about what we thought of the different episodes and go through the series that way. How do you feel about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I've just found an article about maybe the poisoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we get to the episode, let's discuss that one. So, first of all, each episode is named after a book in the Bible, setting us up immediately for the exceptionally religious heavy nature of the show. So episode 1 is called Book 1, Genesis. Riley Flynn returns to his hometown of Crockett Island, a tiny offshore fishing village reeling economically due to an oil spill that crippled its fishing industry, after serving 4 years in prison for a drunk driving crash that killed a young woman. The community is also joined by Father Paul Hill, a young priest claiming to be a temporary replacement for the ageing Monsignor Pruitt, who is on pilgrimage to the Holy Land. While out at night with his friends Uka and Ali, Warren spots strange movement in a remote island area populated by feral cats, later mauled by an unseen entity. The following night, Riley sees the figure of Monsignor Pruitt walking along the beach amidst a raging storm, but the figure soon vanishes. The next morning, hundreds of dead cats are discovered along the beach. And that is episode 1. And that final image of all of those dead cats along the beach is quite impressive. Yeah. And I think knowing how it all ends, I mean, you've watched this more recently than me. Why are all those cats dead? Has the angel...
I think the angel has sucked their blood, I guess.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cats.
That's a lot of cats. Yeah.
It's a very much a table setting episode, isn't it? And like you know, the main things are introduced in those main characters, and then the big spooky set piece is those 3 teenagers sat around that campfire while something moves around in the dark. Did you find that scary?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what is it going to be? Oh, yeah, and it's already kind of spooky being in an island with like 127 people or something.
Yeah.
And like there's nobody there. Well, you can't really leave the island unless you take the boat or you have a boat, and that's already kind of so detaches you completely from reality. And this island is so run down, and the people on it are just they look unhappy. So it's already kind of like a bleak kind of setup, isn't it? And Riley Flynn is back, and he doesn't want to be back, I guess.
No. It's an unfortunate thing. The most unfortunate thing about this show is that Riley Flynn is the blandest man in the world. Like, I'm glad that...
yeah. It's a shame because...
Go on.
Well, it does become better. Unfortunately, I've seen him in other things. This actor,
Zach Gilford.
Yeah, and he kind of seems the same, but I don't know, maybe he wanted to, because he does suffer from PTSD, because every night when he goes to sleep, what he sees is the girl that he killed.
Yes, that's true. That is, to be clear, that is Riley Flynn, not the actor, Zach Guilford.
Yeah, sorry, Riley Flynn. Yeah, and so he is suffering from some kind of PTSD, and you're not supposed to like him very much, I think, because he did kill a woman, and he's already out of jail after like 4 years. The lady that he sees every night, the girl he killed, is pretty gross.
Pretty spooky stuff.
Yeah.
That's the closest it gets to feeling like The Haunting of Hill House is of a big sort of TV show, which has got a lot of scenes of people seeing disturbing ghosts and stuff, which kind of almost set me up to assume, like, I think the first time I watched this, I was expecting her to actually be a spirit, but it's not. It is just the manifestation of his kind of PTSD having caused this. So
Yeah. And I feel like the episode is not much happens, but it's intriguing enough to make you want to go to the next episode.
Yes, definitely. And that next episode is called Book 2, Psalms. Yeah. And in this episode, the townspeople cannot determine a cause of death for the cats found along the beach. Bev covers the church perimeter with the rodenticide 1080, hoping to fend off potential predators. Bad move, Bev. During the night, Bowl, the island's drug dealer, is attacked by an unseen assailant. Father Paul meets Lisa Scarborough, the wheelchair-bound daughter of the mayor, who was paralysed after being accidentally shot by the town drunk, Joe Colley. During the island's annual Ash Wednesday Potluck Festival, Joe's dog suddenly dies after eating food off the ground. Joe suspects Bev, whom he despises, for extracting church donations from the townsfolk after convincing them to accept a settlement with the oil company that poisoned the bay's waters, knowing it would benefit the church. Riley attends a one-on-one AA meeting with Father Paul at the town rec centre. He expresses his contempt for a God that would allow such evil in the world, owing to his guilt over the fatal car accident. During Mass that Sunday, Father Paul insists, in an amazing scene, that Lisa rise from her wheelchair to accept the Eucharist. To everyone's shock, Lisa stands and walks. So if the first episode was light on events, then this one immediately starts just throwing interesting idea after interesting idea at you until it finally ends in like that moment of effectively a miracle. And you still don't know, like, and one of the things I love about Midnight Mass is that you don't know until a few episodes in what it actually is, like what kind of show it is, and we haven't even actually said the word yet for what this show is in terms of the name of the thing that is ultimately causing all of this, which is never said within the show itself as well. And so much happens here that you can't explain and you can't understand, and it's I love this episode. What did you think?
It was really, in the first kind of couple of episodes, you kind of think that Father Paul is the good side of religion. Yeah. You know, he's forgiving, he's welcoming, he's loving, he's everything and that you would want religion to be, you know. So you kind of you're really kind of inspired by this man. You realize that the mayor is an absolute plonker. We
haven't talked so much about Mayor Scarborough, but he is absolutely useless.
Yeah, he's a useless man, and things start setting out a little bit more, and you realize Bev is the devil, if there could be one, like a really terrible human. Yeah, that.
Like, she definitely poisoned Joe's dog on purpose.
She definitely poisons Joe's dog, 100%. And she's just above people, and she thinks she's better than anybody else. And when he tells Lisa to stand up, I was like, oh no.
What were your? Do you remember what guesses you had at that point as to what was going on?
Have we had an experience of, I can't remember, have we had any inkling that something was in that box, or did that come after?
Well, there's the scene
there's a scene where he comes home, Father Paul, and he has a big
box
chest, a big box.
I think we've seen that by this point.
Yeah, and there is something in that box. And I was like, is Monsignor Pruitt in that box? What is in that box?
Because Riley thinks that he sees Monsignor Pruitt in the first episode, doesn't he?
Yeah, and so...
And there's whatever's around the edge of the campfire in the first episode.
Yeah.
And there's whatever attacks the drug dealer.
Exactly. So there
house.
is something, but when he says stand up, I was like, no.
And I love that everyone else is like, what are you doing? And he just sticks to his guns and it's a really distressing sequence at first, but then she's...
And that's the moment that you stand up and you leave the island.
This is weird.
That's the moment that you go, no.
But these people, this is their home, I guess. It's hard to leave your home.
Yeah, but that's the moment that you just say sayonara, baby. You know, we don't... I don't know. I thought this blind... And that's the beginning for me of this blind faith that will... Anything that you do, it's okay. Kind of Old Testament kind of faith. And I think that's the thing. It's very Old Testament-y. There's a lot of Old Testament stuff in here, and it's just awful.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I thought that this was an interesting episode.
Yeah, it's very good. Not mentioned in the synopsis I've been reading, but I'm pretty sure there's some good stuff between Erin and Riley at the Potluck Festival. Just sort of some good background character work there. And the AA meeting between him and Paul is good stuff as well.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I thought, Father Paul, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and I think Mike Flanagan just makes really good use of that rec centre as a set. That quite big empty space that is inhabited by just a couple of people in quite a lot of scenes. I don't know, it just really well shot, because it's a lot of scenes of people just sat in chairs talking to each other, but it all is really compelling. And also a nice little Easter egg in this second episode and after this episode as well. I think on the stage of the rec centre you can see a big mirror, which is the evil mirror from the movie Oculus, which Mike Flanagan directed earlier in his career, and is a pretty fun time. Good Karen Gillan horror film. So that's episode 2. Episode 3 is called Book 3 Proverbs, and in this episode, Crockett Island begins experiencing a religious revival after Lisa's sudden recovery, which the residents believe to be a miracle, of course. Lisa visits Joe and tells him of the hatred she has harboured towards him for causing her life-ruinous injury, only to forgive him eventually. A moved Joe decides to attend an AA session with Riley and Father Paul. Sheriff Hassan, whose Muslim faith puts him at odds with the town's Christian population, learns that his son Ali is studying the Bible. Later, he makes an unsuccessful attempt to get Bev to stop handing out Bibles to public school children at a town meeting. Father Paul collapses before Bev and the Scarboroughs and dies after coughing up blood, only to suddenly spring back to life. In a flashback taking place the night before his first sermon on the island, so this is a big moment, Paul sits in a confession booth. He reveals the true story of Monsignor Pruitt. Near Jerusalem, Pruitt was caught in a sandstorm and discovered an ancient ruin where he was attacked by a winged, blood-sucking humanoid creature that then fed him its lifeblood. Pruitt awoke the next morning to discover he had regained his youth, revealing Father Paul's true identity as a revitalised Monsignor Pruitt. Paul/Pruitt confesses that he believes the creature that attacked him is an angel, wrong, and its blood-healing properties constitute a divine gift that he intends to share.
How does that look like an angel?
Because as the Bible...
That does not look like an angel.
But they say repeatedly, as the Bible tells us, angels will appear monstrous to us. Or something like that. There's some line that Bev quotes repeatedly that, like, when you see an angel, it won't appear to you as like a divine being. It will be terrifying. It will terrify you. There's a lot of very good memes from Midnight Mass of like pictures of the angel with the text over it saying clearly a vampire, and then Father Paul saying, "Is this an angel?"
Clearly not.
No. I think this is the point where we start to realise that Midnight Mass is a vampire show.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
100%. Of course it is. It's a vampire.
Is he a vampire, though?
Yes, it is a vampire. It drinks blood. It can't go out during the day.
Okay, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's just... Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I don't know what it is. It's just disgusting.
It's a vampire.
Okay. Yeah, it's
And when you drink its blood, you turn into one. Yeah, it's a vampire.
Okay, it's
Very
a
much
vampire.
so.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
So this is the episode where, like, after the initial setup and stuff,
Yeah.
it starts to playing its hand and start to reveal what's going on, and particularly, like, what did you think of those revelations about Father Paul? Had you guessed that already?
I thought there was something weird, and he knew when he talks everybody, he remembers instantly everybody's names and surname.
Yeah.
And he knows everybody's story, and he says because Monsignor Pruitt told him. But come on, Monsignor Pruitt could have told you a lot of stuff, but he was an aging man that was not in the right mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think Monsignor Pruitt told you this. So I had my suspicions, especially because people's were starting to look different, younger. And yeah, and so of course it was, but it was just like, haha, now I know.
Yeah, definitely. Moving away from the supernatural stuff, what do you think of the sequence? Is it in this episode? I think it is, where it's during like a sort of town council meeting where the Sheriff Hassan and Bev have their conflict over the Bible.
Yeah.
And she kind of is just a disgusting I don't know, xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist.
Because he's really like clear about what his faith is.
He's so calm and centered. Yeah.
And how Islam accepts everybody's faith and is all about, being together, and she just shuts him down, and she doesn't shut up.
Yeah, that's the problem with her.
She's
just
so
keeps talking.
She's such a great actor, though. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty, and also like it's a pretty big thing in America, particularly, isn't it? Like the separation of church and state. Don't give out Bibles to like that. Like
no
people, like everyone should be annoyed at her for doing that. That's really sort of massively inappropriate.
Yeah, but miracles are happening, so everybody is doing this blind faith crap. There's like, because miracles are happening, we're becoming religious again properly. It's like, nah, you haven't been to church in years. Come on.
True.
Don't be this crazy. Sheriff Hassan prays every night with his son. When was the last time you went to church?
Well, Bev every day.
Well, Bev, but not the other people. I mean, like the people that are not telling them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So this is
the episode where I thought the Bev slowly poisoned the priest.
Yes. So what's your discovery?
So I found an article. It's called Screen Rant.
Okay.
And fine, but at least I'm not I'm not the only one that thinks it. But it says here.
Just Screen Rant is a very terrible website, but
okay, I'll find another one.
No, it's fine. They're a good source of information, but you might have to read through like 5 paragraphs where they just explain the plot of Midnight Mass.
Yeah, it says while John had been ingesting the vampire's blood for some time, he hadn't actually died to complete his vampiric transformation until halfway through the series. Blah 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 blah. So it says there is a possibility that she poisoned him. The realization that Bev was the one who originally killed John is also supported by her being the one to put the 1080 poison back in the church's closet after he dies. Remember, there's a scene that after he dies, she then takes his poison and she puts it back. And apparently she's been trying to poison him because she makes him food, and she poisoned a dog. Tampering with his food. Yeah.
Interesting. I found a Reddit thread
Okay.
where the writer of the show, or the guy that co-wrote it with Mike Flanagan, gets quite annoyed at somebody insisting that she poisoned Father Paul and saying, "Hi, you're correct that Mike didn't write the entire show. The other writer credit on the episode is me. He did direct every episode, by the way. What he absolutely did not do was misinterpret his own material, and I am not misinterpreting my own writing when I state Bev didn't poison Father Paul. He dies from ingesting too much vampire blood over too long a time frame."
Oh, okay.
But from
the thing is,
you're right that you can read it that she poisons him, I think.
Yeah.
But I think
because there's a scene after he dies, and because my first suspicion when he dies is because he's dying like the dog, and so I was like, oh, it looks like, I was like, oh shit, she's poisoned him. And then after she puts away this tin of poison, and I'm not sure if it was because to prove that she poisoned the dog, or is she poisoned also Father Paul.
I think it's mainly to show that she poisoned the dog, because I think that my only issue with the idea that she poisoned him is that it just undermines everything we know about her character, and it also weakens the turn later when he goes directly against her and then she turns on him. Do you see what I mean? And also, having him die due to ingesting too much vampire blood is should be a warning to him that maybe this is not the path.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just a thing that I thought that she kind of knew that he could not die, and so she wanted to see if there was a miracle. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, everyone can interpret it their own way, can't they? It's not just down to the creators to say how.
So you don't think that she poisoned him?
No.
And the writer of the show doesn't think she poisoned him?
No.
So it's just hearsay?
Yes. But what do you think?
I don't know. Bev is just a terrible person.
Yeah, she is terrible.
Whatever she has done, poisoned him, not poisoned him, she is just the worst. So I don't know.
Yeah, fair play. Well, let's call it there. That's been our first part of our Midnight Mass review. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do come back next week for the discussion of the final 4 episodes, where things really do get pretty wild. It's been a pleasure to have you on the 72nd episode with us. Please do come back next time. And Alex, if you had to pick one thing from your Culture Catch-Up this week to recommend to people, what would it be?
I would recommend the book Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami.
Lovely. And I would recommend the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, which people should definitely go and watch if they haven't done so yet. It's absolutely a masterpiece. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so join us next week for part 2. Love you, love you, love you. Oh, and also, you can find information about everything we've discussed in Culture Catch-Up and MyTube in the show notes to this and every episode, along with links to all of our social media channels. Please do follow us and join us there, particularly on Instagram, where we're most active, and you can see loads of great artwork that Alex has done to support our episodes. And we will join you will join us again next time. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.